We are Georgia and David. In March of 2022, we quit our jobs to travel the world full-time. We are currently exploring Mexico, and our goal is to visit 100 Pueblos Mágicos. So this is our first full day exploring Aguascalientes, and we are on the eastern side of town.
Over here, there is a train museum, there is an art museum, and today is Sunday, so there are supposed to be some vendors and some things set up. But first off, we are going to a very highly rated birria restaurant. Aguascalientes is known for their birria, both de borrego, which is, I believe, goat, and res, which is beef. And this place has both types, so we're heading there now.
We just finished up our delicious lunch at Birria Madero.
It was fantastic. Both the borrego and the rice were super good. We got quesadillas, we got volcanes, we got the hard style tacos. Everything was good. And it was very reasonably priced, and I would say it was the most fancy, modern looking birria place we've been to. Usually birria is served kind of in a mercado in a hole in the wall, kind of
street side.
Yeah, and so it was nice to be able to sit in a place with some atmosphere comfortably and enjoy it. And the price wasn't really any more than you would pay in a market or anything. Right. So highly recommend. Now we are back in the park to see what little vendors have set up.
So that was the alternative tianguis. There were a bunch of things there, some arts and crafts, vegan type things, and gluten-free things.
Yeah, like a lot of organic products. So it was kind of like the new little mercado. And it is right in front of the train museum. So as you may be able to tell, we are currently at the train museum. It looks like they have a lot of trains on display, both passenger and cargo, old and newer. And they have the revitalized main train station as well. So we're going to go check all that out.
One thing we learned in the museum is that Aguascalientes used to manufacture all the steam locomotives here.
And so after they stopped using the steam locomotives, there were a bunch of factories that were huge and empty. And now they've repurposed them all. So the one behind us here is the public library. Obviously the one we were in before is now the train museum. There's a University of the Arts. There's another one that is an art museum. There's another that's just space for stores. So it's kind of cool that they revitalized this whole area, and it's a really neat and beautiful space to walk around.
we just finished up at Museo Espacio.
This museum, as the name suggests, is just an open space. They don't actually have any permanent exhibits. It just has exhibition rooms. So the first one we went into was very
African.
It was very interesting. Somebody had clearly gone to Africa and been influenced and decided to actually like portray all these Bible stories with like modern day Africans, and they were talking about how basically there's like a very violent war going on in that area, and it's causing kids to grow up, and it's faster than they should, and it has a lot of kind of biblical crossovers with like King Saul and stuff like that. The other museum or the other exhibition room was all religious art. It was very similar to some of the pieces, and I think even by some of the same painters that we saw in the museum in Guadalupe in Zacatecas. So that was interesting. We enjoyed that a lot.
And all those paintings are normally in the museum in Mexico City, right?
Yes, they're all on loan from the Art Museum in Mexico City. So it was pretty neat. It's definitely worth your time to come because you don't know what the exhibitions will be. So something new every time. Well, today is Sunday, and we have walked just under 100 meters from our Airbnb to the central jardín of the Encino neighborhood.
And we're getting ready to go visit the Templo del Señor del Encino because it looks like church just let out. The gold-gilded carvings were super impressive. However, it was a little disappointing that there was scaffolding covering the cupola. All right, so the plan after visiting the church was to go get something to eat, but we're gonna wait till that line calms down.
Yeah, that's a little crazy. I don't want to wait in that line in the sun. So the other thing to do in this neighborhood is right next to the church is the José Posada Museum. And he is the one that created the original Catrina. So that Catrina character that you see all during Dia de Muertos, he was the one that created the original cartoon.
We learned that Posada's career started with what was basically tabloid flyers of the times. Some pointing to the end of the world, others about promiscuous women giving birth to demons, you name it. He then took jobs making advertisement flyers for circuses and sideshow acts, before finally landing a job with a reputable newspaper, where he eventually got into political cartoons, ads, and flyers. Originally, Posada had drawn the now famous Catrina to point out to indigenous women how ridiculous they looked leaving their traditional clothing behind in favor of European styles, and to show no matter what you wear, we were all just skeletons underneath. Posada never became famous while he was alive. In fact, he died penniless and was buried in a mass grave. His work didn't become famous until Diego Rivera featured the Catrina in one of his famous murals in Mexico City. We just finished up brunch at La Mestiza Yucateca.
The reason that the line was so incredibly long is because today is Father's Day. So normally I don't think the line would be that long, but the line moved very quickly. I think we were on the line for about 15 minutes. The chilaquiles I got were with the salsa de molcajete, which apparently had habanero in it and was absolutely hands down the spiciest chilaquiles I've ever had. The flavor was really good, though. We got a big order of bacon, and then
And I had chilaquiles verdes, which was a tomatillo sauce, and it wasn't not nearly as spicy as George's.
yeah, it was a little spicy, but not like mine. That was really good. I definitely do recommend it, and we enjoyed the museum as well. But it is getting quite warm, so I think we're gonna head on home.
All right, today we drove about 30 minutes outside of Aguascalientes to the Santa Elena Winery.
Aguascalientes has its own wine region. We haven't heard very much about the wine here, so we have no idea how it is or how it would compare to what we experienced in Tequis. But I chose this winery because it had good reviews, and it has its own restaurant, Elan, and so we have a 1 o'clock reservation to eat lunch there. So they do have a 4-course tasting menu here for 700 pesos per person, and then it also comes with a full wine pairing for an additional 450 pesos. A couple of the courses didn't really appeal to us. One was like a salad with smoked salmon. Another one was a risotto with clam, but of course that changes, so check the menu when you come. But we decided to basically create our own tasting menu, and they only have available, they have a huge wine list of their own wines, but they only have available 4 different ones per glass, which are the same 4 that are included in that tasting menu. So I paired those wines with some things that sounded a little better to us. This is cream of cauliflower soup with olive oil and a little bit of red pepper. So for our first course here, we have the pulpo or octopus that was cooked in a wood-fired oven. It has a remoulade sauce, and then I've paired it here with the Chardonnay. For our second course here, I got the pork belly, which is served with a pear jus and a Napa cabbage salad with an apple dressing. It looks absolutely fantastic, and it is paired with a rosé. All right, for our third course, or our main course, we got the Texas burger. We paired that with their red blend, which has Merlot as well as Malbec and a third grape I can't remember. And then we got the duck breast, which, as you can see, David's is completely gone, and then mine is almost all gone. We got very excited and started eating before we recorded.
We just finished up our lunch and it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, the pork belly was good, but the pulpo or the octopus was absolutely delicious. Awesome. You don't even normally like octopus, but even David liked that one. It was so good. The duck breast was definitely the best I've had in Mexico. It was really more like the U.S. version. Here in Mexico, sometimes the duck breasts are kind of small and they can be a little leathery, but here it was a really plump, juicy duck breast, cooked medium with the skin nice and crispy, super delicious. The burger was the only thing that was a little disappointing. Yeah. It was a little dry. The bread maybe tasted only maybe slightly stale, but the wine was really good and the view was fantastic. The service was excellent, and it was so good, in fact, that we've made reservations to come back next Saturday because we enjoyed it so much. They have a live saxophonist playing right now. You might be able to hear it in the background. It was just a fantastic atmosphere. Really, really enjoyed the day.
So this morning we walked over to the neighborhood of San Marcos.
In this neighborhood, they hold the largest fair in all of Mexico. Every year, I believe it is in April. And our next stop is the second largest bullfighting ring in all of Mexico. So this might look kind of like a ghost town, but these are basically the fairgrounds. So all of these bars and restaurants are only open for 1 month a year to cater to all the people of the fair. So this area would be completely packed with people if the fair were currently going on.
These fairgrounds took up many city blocks and gave an almost eerie vibe. You could definitely picture this in a zombie or other post-apocalyptic type movie where hardly anyone is alive. So after the Plaza de Toros, we walk through the semi-abandoned neighborhood of San Marcos.
It's so weird that there is just such a huge portion of the city that is closed for 11 months out of the year. But now we've come to the part of San Marcos that actually has businesses and restaurants and that people live in. And behind me right now is the Templo de San Marcos, and it looks open, so we're going to go check it out.
Across from the church was the Jardín de San Marcos, which had tons of bronze statues scattered around the manicured park. This is one thing we definitely noticed during our stay in Aguascalientes. This is a city that absolutely loves its statues.
So after exploring the neighborhood of San Marcos in this like 90-degree heat, we decided it was time to get some refreshments. So I started here with the strawberry michelada, which I've not had before. It is more like a cocktail than anything. Very, very good, very refreshing. Dave got the chelada, which is just lime, salt, and negro modelo. And then here in front of us now, we have the fried cheese, which is so much bigger than I thought it would be, but it looks fantastic.
We just finished up lunch at Toof.
Wow, it was so filling. I am incredibly full. The fried cheese was amazing. They actually made it with manchego instead of with mozzarella, but it still had that really great cheese pull. The burgers were really good. It had 3 different types of cheese on them. They were, I do believe, frozen patties, but the bread was homemade and everything else was really good. My onion rings were also hand battered. Most of the time when we get onion rings here in Mexico, they are frozen onion rings. Yep. So that was nice. I definitely recommend it. They have a ton of different sauces for chicken wings. So unfortunately, I don't think we have enough time to come back here. But if I were to come back to Aguascalientes, I would definitely stop by there and try their chicken wings.
And they also have a bunch of cheesecakes on a stick. Looked really interesting, but couldn't fit it.
Yeah, they dip them in chocolate and then they put whatever toppings you want on them, and they even had like little waffle bites. The menu was huge. So another winner here in Aguascalientes.
After passing the Patio de Jacarandas, we passed the Morelos Theater and ended up in the main square, so we snapped our photo in front of the Aguascalientes letters before heading to the Palacio Gobierno, which had many murals on the walls.
for watching. Stay tuned next week to see our top recommendations, Airbnb tour, and a full cost breakdown of our month in Aguascalientes. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. And if you haven't already, check out last week's video where we explored 2 Pueblo Mágicos near Aguascalientes.